You are listening to Visionaries Wrestling Network, providing your perfect podcast experience.
Okay, this is Fight Club Pro Wrestling from Sunday, October 6th. Wow, was it really that long ago? I guess so. 2019 at the Edgewood Arts Centre, which is at 3415th 8th Street Northeast. Now, I'm giving you all the details because this is a brand new event. This was actually the debut event. Now, I'm actually a little confused with this. They seem to go by two different names. Like, if you look on Twitter, it's actually, it's something like PAW... C or something? I don't know. But I refer to it as Fight Club anyway. Now, it's actually Fight with F1GHT as well. So I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that. I'm still reading it as Fight Club. I assume that's what it is. F1GHT? I don't think it's that. We normally talk about what happened on this one. Now, we actually had to go to DC Brow for this one. Following on from last week's episode, we went to Primetime Pro. I left my jersey there, my personalised jersey. So anyway, we went to this one. I said, hey, look, I'm going to be in DC next weekend anyway. Can I pick it up then? So we went to DC Brow. And we got in a bit of traffic because it was actually playoff time. Nats were playing the Dodgers, Game 3. We got through all that, and it's kind of unusual. The main bar wasn't actually hot.
Yeah.
Normally when we go there, it's like, woof, got the fans and everything. It was actually fine in the main bar. So we picked that up. The Redskins-New England game was on at the time, I remember. And actually, Redskins were doing well when I looked. I think it was like 7-6 or 6-6 or something. Anyway, they were getting crushed at this point. And luckily for us, it was only a 10-minute drive. So we got kind of lucky on this one. I knew I was going to DC to pick it up. I didn't realise it was only going to be a 10-minute drive. And actually, as we walk into the event, someone actually asked us, are you going to the Nats game? Because we had our baseball jerseys on. We had our All-Star game on. I don't know how close the stadium was. I don't think it's that close. I still think it'd be kind of a long walk if we were actually going there. And I think we would have missed the start anyway. This started at, I want to say 4 o'clock. Does that sound about right?
Doors open at 4:25 start.
Oh, that's right. Because normally it's like 30 minutes. And it wasn't 30, it was like 25. Yeah, it was a slightly less time than that. So, yes, and we got there a little after 4. And when we got there, I would say there was probably about 15, 20 people, something like that, were probably in. We had the regular tickets, which we'd ordered online. We just had general admission. I wasn't sure if there was going to be a guardrail. I know Jay likes that. There was no guardrail. There was a tape. And actually, the tape was very close to the edge of the ring as well. So if there had been any dives or something, he could have been right next to it. So I'm glad that we were back row. We were third row. I told somebody that. I was like, we were third row. And they were like, woo, that's really close. I was like, yeah, we had probably the worst seats in the house. I don't think they were, if I was being facetious. There wasn't a bad seat in that place. We could have moved to the middle. I'm trying to remember why we stood at the side. Jay wanted to sit at the side.
So Jay could stand up and
Oh, so he could stand up if he needed to. He could have done that as well from the back row as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. He could, in theory, have got out and given high fives to wrestlers, but I think he only did that probably about one time, as far as I would remember. Now, from Facebook, it said the first ever Fight Club main event features inarguably the fastest rising talent in all of independent wrestling, Mr. Grimm, taking on the former Evolve Tag Team Champion, Fred Yehi. Also featuring Block B of the Pan-African World Diaspora Wrestling Championship Tournament. Oh, now I figured out where it comes from. Pan-African, P-A, World Diaspora, W-D. Alright, now I know where those initials actually come from. I didn't piece that together until I just looked at the notes. Striving to bring you the most inclusive professional wrestling experience possible next Sunday in the nation's Grapital. Ooh, did they steal that from Primetime Pro Wrestling? Didn't they have Grapital City? Professional wrestling is for everyone, no matter your race, orientation, gender, or anything else. When you're in our building, we are one people. And that's something that Primetime Pro is they put a lot of tweets out about being very inclusive, and Coach Gator's made it very clear that any fan who is being obnoxious on grounds of racism, sexism, homophobia, anything like that, they're going to be out straight away. Perfect. I don't want to see that in my wrestling matches anyway, so I'm okay with that. Need tickets to be part of history, and then there was a link you can go to. So that was what set this up. And I actually saw this on Facebook literally a week before. This was probably the exact post that I saw. And I was like, oh, that kind of looks interesting. Not heard of the organisation. Asked them online. Give me a few... Is it kid-friendly? Just wanted to check. They responded very quickly. Brilliant guys online. They responded very quickly and very helpful to us. There was one more thing at the bottom. Rule 1 of our Fight Club. tell everyone you know about Fight Club. Now, I'm going to guess that means nothing to you at all. If I'd have mentioned Fight Club to you a week ago, would that mean anything to you at all?
No.
Oh, whew, I'm going to breathe a big sigh of relief right now. Because I keep constantly hearing things like, oh, we watched this in school or something, or all my friends have watched this film. It's an 18-rated film from probably about 20 years ago. It's a really good film that you definitely want to watch in a few years' time. It's probably in my top 10 films of all time, I would say. It's really good. Now, actually, I remember talking to, I think it was Mayday about this, because the actual first rule of Fight Club is, on the film, is you don't talk about Fight Club. And we're like, ooh, well, you don't want to do that, because obviously you want to promote this event. Now, if you want a little bit of a challenge, you can actually pause the podcast at this time. What were the rules for the actual film Fight Club? We're going to have a little quiz in the middle of this. And then when you want to know the answers, you can just click play again. Alright, so the first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. I remembered that one. The second rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. I remembered that. I didn't remember there was more rules to that. Third rule of Fight Club, someone yells stop, goes limp, taps out, the fight is over. Fourth rule, only 2 guys fight. I did not remember the rest of those at all. I guess it's probably been a few years since I've seen that film, and I probably need to go back and actually look at that.
Then why are we talking about Fight Club?
Because that's the name of the organisation.
Oh.
The organisation was called Fight Club, but it was also the name of a film.
Oh.
We do cross-curricular.
What is it about? Like...
People who fight. It's an underground film. It's people that want to fight, but obviously if you just had a fight in the street, police would come and arrest you, right? And you're not allowed to illegally stage fights, so they went underground, they hired like a venue or whatever, and then people who just wanted to fight just go into a ring and fight, and everyone around the outside watched. And then 2 more people are going, and they take it in turns. Alright, you're not buying it. I'm telling you, it's a great film. You're really going to want to watch it, though. You don't sound very interested in it right now. Alright, let's go to match 1 then. Match 1. Oh, and I want to thank the guys, actually, as well. We struggled to get some of these names. There was a few people who we knew ahead of time, like Fred Yehi we knew. We knew Mr. Grimm from the main event. There was other people as well. But there was also a lot of people who we'd never seen before. And we can always write down, because you were writing down, like, what did they say? I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes you could see their name on their pants, and you could, like, copy from there. Like in the first one, Mur Mur, we could see that was on his uniform, so you could figure that one out. But there was definitely some we didn't know. So I want to thank the guys at Fight Club Pro who were very gracious to us. I asked, hey, do you have a list or something? And they're like, we'll send it straight to you. And they did. They sent it straight to us. So match 1 is Don Soree versus Mur Mur. Now, I've got a few things, Mason, so I'm going to do like the thing I know about the wrestlers, and you can tell us about the match, okay? Now, I had difficulty for Don Soree. Actually, it's not Soiree, it's S-O-R-E-E. I thought it was S-O-I-R-E-E. Alright, I don't know how you pronounce his name then. I typed it in Google to see what I came up with, and I got this. And it said on Reddit, here's what it's like to take a bump if you're not a wrestler. Don't reply as a new post. If you want to fix someone's post or have ... 2 weeks later, I still have a sore muscle in the middle of my back. Google's brilliant, but it doesn't always come up with everything. It took the word Don and took the word don't and assumed that was the same thing. It took the word sorry or soiree or however you pronounce it, and it took the word sore and matched it up. I couldn't find anything on Don Soree, unfortunately. Mur Mur, I didn't find anything on him earlier, but it did come up with something I had forgot. If you put the word Mur and Mur together, what does that spell?
Murmur?
I didn't notice that before. Did you notice that?
Not really.
I didn't. I just took it as 2 separate words. Now, I'm really concerned, though. I'm hoping his entrance music wasn't from the album Mur Mur. One of my favourite groups is R.E.M. That was their debut album. It's one of my favourite albums. Unfortunately, I don't think I can remember what their music was. Even if you heard it, you probably wouldn't have recognised it anyway. But if he's not playing something from that album, I think he's definitely missing an opportunity with Mur being part of his name. Alright, talk to us about match 1 then, Mason.
So there's a muscle show off, and then the ref had to tie Don's shoe.
He did. We had like a safety first moment because Tim Donster's done that a few times when the other person's shoe's been undone and he tied it. I think I did a very half-hearted safety first, but it wasn't really going to happen. Not with that crowd, unless they knew that reference.
And then Don won with a KO punch.
What does that mean? Is that like a Superman punch?
A knockout punch.
It was just, what type of punch? Just a punch to the face? A Superman punch? Did he hit him in the
what
ribs?
Big Show does.
Oh, okay. All
Just
right.
like a punch.
So who won?
Don.
Don. Now, can you tell me about them? Can you give me some description on like the clothing or anything? Can you remember anything about them? Was Don the guy who first came up and was first doing the muscles?
Yeah.
Alright, so he was the guy who was clearly the heel then in this event. Oh, I don't know how I remember Don Soree. There was people next to us on the front row who actually had a big sign as well. They had, like, did it say calendar on it or something? He clearly had some of his fans there, and he was, even though he was a heel, they were clearly rooting for him. Alright, let's move on to match 2 then. Match 2 is Prince Kanu versus Ray, I think it's Xion, Xion. Now, I did manage to find something for these on Twitter. So, first one I found was match announcement, Friday, October 11th in Cocoa, Florida, for at Wrestling Atomic, sorry. Extreme Takeover 3. The Atomic Tag Team Championships will be on this line in this huge matchup. The champions, Brothers in Arms members at JXDX Amazing and Ray X Xion, that's who we just talked about, versus official Ariel D and D Ramos. Wow. DC this week, Florida next week. I know we talk about how they do travel a lot, but there was that's going to be a theme for this. A lot of the people who I found did travel a long way to come for some of these matches. Like, DC was not necessarily their home base. Some of these people were traveling from all over the country to get there. Now, if I remember correctly, what was particularly impressive about this one, I don't want to spoil it for later if I mess it up. There were some big names on that card, I think. Yes, Prince Kanu on Facebook, 2nd of October. Washington, D.C. will know on Sunday, October 6th that I will not fail. Hashtag change the perception. Hashtag royal warrior. Hashtag power to the prince. Hashtag poor DWC. He said he was actually flying in from Texas for this match as well. So he came from Texas, he went to DC, and then the following week he had a match down in Florida. That's some serious distance for that one. So, he said that he wasn't going to fail, Mason. So, what happened in this match? Did the prince fail, or was he good to his word?
He was good to his word.
Alright, do you want to tell us about the match?
So, Ray, he hits Prince with the campaign. The champagne.
Campaign.
And then he kicks him in the dingo, and Prince wins with the knee.
That's it. That's all you got for this one. So you're not going to tell me anything about any of the two characters, really?
Well...
So Ray had the champagne then?
Yeah. And, the other
So what happened after the match? What did he do with that champagne? He obviously didn't win, so he wasn't going to celebrate, was he?
He took off the wrapper, and then he was about to, spray it, and then he didn't.
Actually, he was right near Mayday as well.
Yeah.
So Mayday was kind of a little bit concerned by that.
Well, I don't know what it was, because it says with Ladney.
Yeah, you can't read your own notes again?
No.
That's becoming a common theme for some of our matches. Alright, let me talk about what he posted afterwards then. Prince Kanu on Facebook later scored the win for the Pan-African World Diaspora Wrestling Championship Tournament B Block. That's a long name. I'm one more step towards obtaining my crown. Thank you, Washington, D.C. I will return. Hashtag change the perception. Hashtag power to the prince. Hashtag poor DWC. That was the thing I wanted to tell you. There was somebody at this match. Joey Ryan was at that event Ray Xion was at. Oh. So that was a pretty cool event. He was actually in a 6-way elimination match. So I'm like, whew. There was, I saw a few people post on Twitter, so I didn't have any problems finding out about Ray Xion. I couldn't find him particularly on Twitter. They had to do, the hashtag Ray, whatever. But I could certainly find his name easily enough on Twitter.
So, he wrote, Prince Kanu, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm saying Kanu. It could be Kanu. I'm not sure.
So, he reminded me of, this tag team that D'Lo Brown and The Rock were in.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
the same
about.
Look,
yeah, I've seen that picture recently as well, and I can't think what the name of the team is, and I'm really embarrassed. I should know, because it was a really big team as well. I thought, wasn't Farouk in that as well?
I don't know.
The person who's Ron Simmons. You know him as Ron Simmons.
I don't know.
I think he was in that group as well. Yeah, I'm blanking. I feel really bad. I can't remember that name at all. Oh, well, never mind. All right, match 3. D-Rogue. Oh, one more thing about this, actually. I'm saying, is it Kanu or Kanu? There was a soccer player who used to play for Arsenal, and his name was Kanu, which had the same spelling. But I don't know if it's that, although some of the commentators used to say Kanu, so I'm still not sure which one it is. All right, match 3. D-Rogue versus DeAndre Jackson. Now, I didn't realize it was DeAndre Jackson. When they sent me the list, I'm like, oh, I actually know that name. Now, I kind of got confused. Now, you're pulling a face a bit. Do you remember that name?
No.
Now, when we interviewed Benjamin Banks, when we talked to him originally, his name was Andre Jackson. That was his initial name. And that's why it stood out to me, because I actually emailed him and I was like, is that you? And he's like, no. I was Andre Jackson. DeAndre Jackson is a different wrestler. So I got a little bit confused about that. D-Rogue lists himself as the world's tallest cruiserweight. He's 6'2" and he weighs 205 pounds, according to Cage Match anyway. His record for this year is phenomenal. 35 matches, 27 wins. That's 77%. That's of, well, we're now October 12th is when I looked this up. That's incredible. Because even if you have like head-to-head matches, you'd expect 50%. But when you have like three-way eliminations, you don't have a half chance of winning, right? Because there's more people. Or that six-way match I just took that with Joey Ryan, you got like a 16% chance of winning. 77%. That was really impressive to me. I did find some of his matches. The Intergalactic Tag Team title, Elimination 4-on-2 handicap. The Squad, D-Rogue, Hip Hop Harry and Kenny K and Shakira Spears defeat Drugs Bunny and the Serial Man, which was a title change. Now, I'm not expecting you to recognize any of those names at all. The reason I picked this one out is this is from a house show in Oakland, California. 3,000 miles away. Remember me saying there were some long distances people traveled? When you look on Cage Match for all his matches, California, 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 DC for this match, and then probably back to California again. That's a long way to travel for a match for this. Now, DeAndre Jackson, 620 days as the SSW Heavyweight Champion. That's the Southern States Wrestling Champion. Now, the reason that DeAndre Jackson's name came up was, you know we had the PWI Top 500 recently? Somebody also responded to that, and they actually released the top 250 black wrestlers. At BLK, WRECELLENCE. If you find them on Twitter, it's their pinned post. And yeah, they had all those names there. The reason I found it was people like Benjamin Banks responded and said, hey, I want to thank you for putting my name on that list. Obviously, Benjamin wasn't in that top 500, but he made it into this top 50. All right, shall I give you some of the names then you might recognize? What about I give you some names and you want to guess the position?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to do them in order. So if I give you like the number one... Oh, why don't we do that first? Number 1 and 2. Who do you think number 1 and 2?
Kofi?
Kofi's number 1, correct. Number 2?
Sasha Banks?
Correct. Oh, very good. Are you sure you didn't take a sneak peek at this link? Very good. Yeah, number 2 was Sasha Banks. All right. On that list then, what about Jonathan Gresham?
20?
7th. He was top 10. You've got to remember, he was battling for like the Ring of Honor Championship as well. Mia Yim.
I thought
Jay Lethal was, but he fought for the title. I don't think he won the title when we were watching those few matches, but he's obviously faced a big company and he's right up there.
20?
34th. So obviously all the ones after that now are going to be after 34 because I've just put them in order. Nyla Rose, because we saw her the other week at AEW.
40.
Very good. 41st. Holodead.
53.
42nd. PB Smooth.
55.
44. O'Shea Edwards.
50.
55. Trey Miguel.
60.
Pretty good. 63. That was the one that upset me most on PTI. How he didn't make top 500, I will never understand that. Considering the other members of the Rascals were on there. Faye Jackson.
60.
74. Cheeseburger.
79.
84. And we're picking Cheeseburger because he's the new Crab Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. Jordan Blade.
90.
155.
Oh.
Benjamin Banks.
170.
226. Jordan Blade.
What?
I was waiting for that reaction. They put Jordan Blade on the list twice by accident. She was 155 and they also had her at 241 as well. I thought I was the only... I looked through Twitter. I looked through 90 comments on the main post and nobody mentioned it. Because I was writing them down. I was like, oh, they put a name twice. People had forgotten with those 100 names. When I looked on Facebook later, somebody had spotted it. I was like, I thought I was the only person that noticed. Daron the Artiste.
200?
Well, that's backwards.
Oh.
That's not... All right, you just failed on inequalities.
250.
242. Last one, Dewan O'Neill.
250.
250, exactly. He just made it into the list. Now, they did actually say on this, basically they did like the first 50 or whatever, and then they just kind of put some names together. Because a lot of people were like, hey, what about this person? And someone else would go, hey, what about this person? And they were like, hey, this is not a perfect list. We just wanted to put this together in response to PTI. But I thought it was interesting. There was a lot of people there who we've seen at like Nova Pro, AIW, Alpha One, and I thought it was interesting to go over that. So, yeah, DeAndre Jackson on that list was, I don't think I mentioned where he was, did I? 120. So that's how this kind of came about while I was looking for it. Okay, do you want to talk to us about the match?
But I thought Billy Dixon and Neal was before this.
Oh, did I get the matches in the wrong order?
I think so.
They sent this to me as match 3. Okay. Well, they sent it to me as match 3. So, okay, you got your notes in order there, right? Do you want to talk to us about D-Rogue and DeAndre Jackson?
So there's a clothesline to D-Rogue, and then D-Rogue gets leg drop, but kicks out. And D-Rogue, he flies nice. He does like a corkscrew slam.
Uh-huh.
And then the ref gets distracted, and then kick to D-Rogue's dingo.
Oh, the famous low blow. I'm assuming that resulted in a pin then.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, match 4, but you had it as match 3 then, was Billy Dixon versus Elo Neal. They were both on the list, actually. I'm not going to ask you to make a guess. I'll tell you what they are. 137 was Billy Dixon, and 160 was Elo Neal. Now, I didn't notice at Primetime Pro, but I actually saw Billy post about this afterwards. Do you remember the outfit that Billy Dixon was wearing? It's kind of got the overalls.
Oh,
if
yeah,
that helps
I
you
remember.
Okay.
He had graffiti on it.
Yeah, he's got graffiti. Correct. And we were trying to read some of the stuff that was on it as well, and we could read the top line, but we couldn't quite read the bottom line. Now, I actually asked Matt about this. I saw him post something, and I didn't notice this at all. So, we're pretty good. We'll have open conversations about lots of different things, and this one came up, and I thought this was kind of interesting. I didn't know this. I actually asked Matt if he knew about this, and he said no, but then he looked it up on Wikipedia, and he got back to me and said, oh, that's kind of interesting. I didn't know that. So Billy Dixon obviously did know about this. From Wikipedia, he had a pink triangle on his shirt, and that didn't mean anything to me at all. It has been a symbol for various LGBTQ identities. Initially intended as a badge of shame, but it was later acclaimed as a positive symbol of self-identity. In Nazi Germany in the 1930s and 40s, it began as one of the Nazi concentration camp badges, distinguishing those imprisoned because they had been identified by authorities as homosexual men or transgender women. In the 1970s, it was revived as a symbol of protest against homophobia, and has since been adopted by the larger LGBTQ community as a popular symbol of pride and as part of the LGBTQ rights movement. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I didn't know that at all, but Billy was obviously very open about it, and people who knew that symbol, it was kind of like, hey, look, I support this, and he let people know about it. So I thought that was kind of good. Now, I don't know. Do you know what all the letters stand for in LGBTQ? Have you heard of that?
No, I can name a couple.
Okay.
Lesbian, gay, transgender, bisexual, and then queer.
I'm not sure what the Q is actually. I just suddenly realized as I was going through. I was like, oh gosh, I don't know what that last one is either. Yeah, that's possible. So it was something that I certainly wasn't aware of, but it was something that Billy talked about after his Primetime Pro. He was also very honest as well about he's had difficulties in his life as well, particularly in the last few months, not doing too well, depression, and he was very open about that. And we've talked about it several times. Like the wrestlers, a lot of them, you see them on the ring and you just think, whoa, these guys have got it. And they're often going through very hard times. So I thought it was great of Billy to be very open about issues like this, and also about some of the difficulties he's had in the past few months. All right, talk to us about this match.
How did you know about this?
The triangle?
Yeah.
He posted about it. I saw it on Twitter. I follow all the wrestlers who are in like Primetime Pro Wrestling. So when we did our review for that, I just click on that list of Primetime Pro and I just like go through everything on Twitter. And then I saw that, and he mentioned the fact that somebody talked to him about the pink triangle, and it like really helped them, and because it made him aware that Billy knew about that issue, and then it gave him something to like talk about. And I was like, I have no idea what the pink triangle is. That's why I talked to our friend Matt, and he didn't recognize that reference either. So it might be more of an American issue rather than a British issue, but it certainly was something that I wasn't familiar with at all, which is why I asked him about it. All right, talk to us about the match.
So Eel, he overpowers Billy into the corner, and then Eel, he does a big kick, then a big DDT, only for a 2, and then I'm sorry, I love you, equals a Billy, but Eel kicks out. Well,
It was like a
Billy
Shawn
said
Michaels
that.
moment, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but Eel kicks out and then into a roll up.
Now, I actually posted as well. This probably didn't. The fact there was no guardrails here was because the Fight Club had heard about what Eel O'Neill had done the previous week at Primetime Pro Wrestling, where he did his kick and actually broke the bars. So he said he wasn't happy about it, that he didn't have them there at all. Yeah, Billy was starting to gain momentum on this one, particularly when he dragged him to the outside. But yeah, Eel came through good on this one. I think Eel was face on this one, right?
Yeah.
Because we were trying to predict ahead of time, and you called it as face for this one. Don't be too happy. It was a guess, and it was 50-50. But we've seen him in different organisations where he's face and different ones where he's heel. And when he came out, we had to be like, all right, are we supposed to cheer right now? Should we wait a little bit? And we weren't quite sure what we were supposed to do at that time. So we had to find out that he was... I think Billy came out first, and he was clearly heel, if I remember correctly. And I think that was like, well, you're not going to have two heels. So that kind of made it a little easier. All right, match 5. Trish Adora versus David Ali. David Ali was also on that list, 204. I saw on ProWrestlingFandom.com, Trish actually served 8 years in the US Army. So that's obviously, I would imagine that's pretty good training to be a wrestler anyway.
That's why she had the army thing.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Because David stepped on it. And it said her last name, but I don't remember.
Okay. I'm not very observant with things like that. You're way better at that. She trained at Team 3D Academy. You know what that is?
No.
You don't recognize 3D? Even though you have a t-shirt?
I do that.
What is it?
It's a wrestling move.
It is. Why?
Devon and Bubba Ray Dudley.
Who are?
Wrestlers.
What's their team name? Oh my god.
Team 3D.
You lose your podcast after
Team
this
3D.
episode. No, that's not their name at all. This
the
organized.
Dudley Boys.
Thank you. This.
I thought it was gonna.
I thought I'd give you a slam dunk question for you. The academy is owned and operated by the Dudley Boys, so yeah, she got the training with the Dudley Boys. I thought that was pretty cool. Now on Twitter, she's at Trishadora202. Now I've seen that before because I followed her after the first Primetime Pro Wrestling event she was at. Didn't resonate with me at all. Do you know the significance of 202?
No.
I don't know why it took me so long to figure it out. It's the dialing code for DC.
Oh.
So she lives in DC now, I'm guessing, so that's why she's 202. I was like, oh, I should have figured that. Background's in rugby as well. We've talked about rugby a few times in the last few days. I know the Rugby World Cup's on right now, but you were talking about... Who else did you say played rugby? Oh, that was it, your homeroom teacher as well. So, yeah. Generations Championship Wrestling Champ in Florida. She won it on November the 4th, 2018, so that's nearly a year ago. So another person, although she probably does live in DC area right now, all the way down to Florida again to defend this championship for the last year. Now, the interesting one for me was, and I saw this match, I'm guessing, but I didn't know who it was at the time. September the 5th, 2018, she lost on her debut on NXT to Kairi Sane. That was pretty cool. It was a kind of a short match. It was a 2-minute match, jobber match, as you would say, probably. Although, actually, she did get some moves in. It wasn't your traditional... You get no offense at all. She did actually have some moves in this one. You can find it easily on YouTube. I found it. If you type in Kairi Sane and Trish Adora, boom, you're going to find it pretty easily. Now, I did see one interesting thing. We're recording actually on the 13th of October. Tomorrow, 14th of October, you don't have school tomorrow, Mason, right?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's a teacher work day.
It is, but there's another reason why. Why is it on this day, do you realise?
Columbus?
Columbus Day, correct. Now, I saw Trish had posted on Facebook. Trish posted a link. Washington, D.C. will join the lists of cities and states to recognise Indigenous Peoples Day in place of Columbus Day. All right, do you recognise what that phrase means, Indigenous people?
No.
More than Native Americans. People who used to originally live in this country. Because obviously you know about the Pilgrims and things like that. So the people who lived here before the Pilgrims arrived.
Vikings?
Not the Vikings. They visited at a certain point, because I'm impressed that you know that. I remember talking about Leif Erikson and Eric the Red, who certainly came across, who were definitely discovered America before Columbus. But anyway, after the DC Council passed emergency legislation on Tuesday to rename the federal holiday, Council member David Grasso proposed the Indigenous Peoples Day Emergency Declaration contributions. Mayor Bowser signed the legislation on October 11th, so only a couple of days ago, so this is very recent, and it went into effect immediately for the October 14th holiday. But for the change to become permanent, it requires congressional approval within 225 days. So I thought that was kind of... I didn't even realise tomorrow was Columbus Day, actually. Until I saw this, I was like, I know people have been very upset with Columbus getting his own day for basically not doing anything. He just came and visited, effectively, when there were people here who probably had a much bigger influence. So anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. All right, go ahead, Mason. What do you got for this match?
What about the dinosaurs? Do they count?
Dinosaurs in America?
Yeah, they did live here.
I guess they did. What contributions did they have? What makes you think they deserve a holiday?
They kept the planet warm for us. They
provide us with all the gas and stuff as they decompose and turns into fossils and stuff like that.
Yeah, they gave some people jobs.
Like what?
Like
archaeologists?
Yeah.
Flintstones?
Yeah. And
they've had a big contribution on society. Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
You're right. So, alright then. So, Councilman Mason then, are you telling us you would prefer this to be Dinosaur Day? And you get a day off school for that? And you could watch, you're smiling, your brother could watch programs like Dino Train and things like that?
Oh, sure.
You think that's more important than indigenous people?
No. I think we could have a 2-day.
You could have, well, I could say, alright, so let's phrase it this way then. So it doesn't have to be on this day. So you just want a dinosaur day at some point during the year as an acknowledgement for the dinosaurs that lived on Earth.
On January 20th.
Well, I know why you picked that date straight away. Alright, why are you picking that date?
So I can have my day off every year for my birthday.
I absolutely love the logic for that. That's perfect. All right, go on, talk about this match while I compose myself.
So David steps on Trish's military jacket, and then there's lots of disrespectful things by David, and then Trish makes David tap.
She did. This was a hard-hitting match. Trish took some big hits. She definitely gave as good as she got as well. I thought it was a really good match. I got some good pictures actually for this one where Trish is in the corner and she's about to get hit, and I seem to remember they're on the side of the ring as well because we were kind of looking across and we could see all that stuff. I actually admit when I looked at this, I got confused. I was like, Ivan Ali was there? In my head, I got David Ali and Ivan Ali mixed up because I know Jay likes that person, so I got myself a little bit confused on this. All right, some news following this then. This is from Twitter. On November 16th at Submission Without Representation, that's Primetime Pro Wrestling's next event, in an Invitational Grand Prix Tournament of Tournaments Classic International Qualifying match. Oh my gosh, I guess a lot of organizations have some really long names for these things. It will be at Savannah Stone 01 versus at Real Lady Frost versus Trish Adora 202. I think that was one of the things we were disappointed about. When we first saw Trish Adora, we didn't really know who she was. And we wanted to see her again at the last one, and she wasn't there. So it was really cool that we got to see her at Fight Club Pro. That's definitely a wrestler I would like to meet, perhaps get a picture with, autographs. I'm pretty sure she sold autographs at the Primetime Pro one, but we didn't get the chance. Well, I guess we had the chance, but there was other ones we wanted, and we didn't really know her at that time. But she's definitely somebody who's on our radar now, I would say. Okay, match 6. Tommy Seto, I think it... Oh, now, is this when we had the intermission? There was 8 matches. Did they do 5 or did they do 6? Can you remember?
I think it was an intermission now.
It was intermission. Now, there wasn't actually concessions at this place, and we were kind of getting hungry. I thought they were just going to go all the way through at this point, because it was kind of late. I think it was like 5:40 or something. They'd already run for... Actually, I guess they didn't start till 4:25. We went to the bathrooms in the centre itself, because Jay needed to go. And then we went to... I don't remember where we went. It was a good place, though.
Potbelly.
Oh, Potbelly, yeah. We went there. You guys loved it. You got the kids' meals, and it's supposed to come with a mini cookie. And the guy's there, he's like, yeah, sorry, we don't have any mini cookies. Are the big cookies okay?
We never got to eat them yet.
I did.
What? You didn't leave us any?
You had your own cookies. You made super cookies. You didn't need it. I didn't like them because they were burnt, but I had one. I still have one, actually. It's in my bag upstairs. Would you like me to get that one out then, possibly? You've just come from a party. You don't need anything like that. You probably had cake right there.
I didn't have cake.
You didn't have cake? There is still one left. Yeah, you didn't need them. Those meals were huge. It came with like, it was a pizza sandwich or something. It was like a panini. I would say it was a panini. Yeah, he asked me, he's like, what toppings do you want? So I was like, pepperoni. And then he was like, you don't get that. I was like, well, if it's a pizza, I assumed you could have... I was like, if we can't get that, that's fine. He's like, all right, I'll give it. So you got bonus pepperoni on that. It also came with a drink. And didn't it come with applesauce as well? And then you got a cookie as well. That was a good value meal, actually. We had to rush because they only said 10 minutes because they weren't selling merch or anything. So we rushed back, and I think actually we timed it just about perfect, actually. I don't think we missed anything. I think we missed probably the introductions of a couple of people, and then I think that was about it.
We missed the match.
We didn't miss the match.
A whole match.
Oh, so we didn't see anything then of Tommy Seto versus Diego Cruz.
Yeah, we did. I just didn't get the names down.
Okay, all right. Tell us about Tommy Seto and Diego Cruz then. Oh, actually, let me tell you about Tommy Seto first.
I thought it was a
He works for... Well, I thought that as well. So I got Chris Andino, Tyler Moore, and Bum Hayden. Now, so how many matches you got left? 2?
2.
We did miss a match then. All right, we missed match 6 then. We missed Tommy Seto and Diego Cruz. I thought we'd rush back. I was like, we have to have missed something. But then as they were introduced, and I was like, perhaps they ran out. They've done that before. Like, hey guys, you got 10 minutes, and then they just made it 20. So I figured it was the same. All right, we missed Tommy Seto and Diego Cruz. Tommy Seto works for MCW, and he congratulated Lio Rush on winning the NXT Cruiserweight Championship this week. I don't know if you were aware that Lio Rush won that. He's actually come back since he's separated himself from Bobby Lashley, which I kind of like. I think Lio Rush is great. We used to love him on 205, and then he paired up with Bobby Lashley, and we were like, ugh. And he was a heel when he was at WWE Fairfax as well. Because it looked like he was going to be the good guy, and then suddenly he's like, yeah, this place stinks, and everyone's like, boo! But yeah, he definitely seems to be.
Kenny Johnson do a documentary on Lio Rush?
If he did, I'm not sure. I haven't seen it. If it is, I haven't seen it. He actually released one a couple of days ago. It was, because I actually watched it already, because it was somebody who was on Uncharted Territory. So I needed to make sure I'd watched it. And it was somebody who was supposed to be at Nova Pro's Commonwealth Cup in Eddie Kingston.
Oh.
And then he didn't turn up for whatever reason. I don't think he could make it. Yeah, kind of an interesting one. Kind of short, though. It's only 7 minutes. But yeah, that was his latest one. All right, match 7 then, the one we did see. Chris Andino versus Tyler Moore versus Bum Hayden. Oh. When I say bum in America, I always think of like a homeless person. I don't remember a character looking like a homeless person.
I think of like a bottom.
Well, that would be more the English.
That's what a bum is.
That would be the English definition, I would say more of. But yeah, if somebody's a bum, they're a homeless person.
Oh.
So anyway, all right.
In school nowadays, they call them hobos.
Okay, same. Yeah, it's another word that means kind of the same thing. Yeah.
So somebody's leg got stuck in the rope, and then they're hanging down. I think his name was Mur.
Tyler.
Yeah, and then kicked to the leg, and then Mur thrown into the chains. And somebody wins with.
And it was confusing because we didn't know the setup because they'd already kind of walked in. We couldn't tell if it was like a 1-on-1 match or if it was like a 2-on-1 match or it was like a handicap match. So we kind of missed a few things certainly as we were watching this one, and we didn't know who all the people were, which also kind of made it confusing
the other guy
as well.
was injured, and then
at the end, because at the end it was kind of strange. That one person went down, and I actually asked Mayday because he was on that side. Did you see what happened? He's like, no, I didn't see. But you could see people were pointing, and then people rushed from the side, and then the ref came in. The match was still going on. They got to that guy, and they kind of got him out of the ring, but they ended that match quickly. Now, I'm not sure if it was supposed to end that quickly, or they were just like, hey, look, just end it because we've got an incident here.
or was he supposed to win?
Yeah, possibly. He might have been supposed... Yeah, that's another thing. You don't even know that. Yeah, if he was supposed to win, that would mess up everything, right? So, yeah, they finished that one up pretty quickly. All right, match 8, main event. Mr. Grimm with Money Mark Carlson versus Fred Yehi. They introduced it as Fred Yehi. No, of course the chant is, and actually Elo Neal actually was leading the chant. It's like, how high? And everyone was like, yay high. So how high? Yehi. That doesn't make sense. So I assume it's got to be Fred Yehi. Oh, we failed to mention that. As we were coming back, actually, from the intermission, we saw Elo Neal on the outside. And it's somebody we've seen at multiple places now. Crab Wrestling, Primetime Pro, EWA. We've seen him a lot. And we finally got to get a picture with him. So that was kind of cool as well. And, he was sat in front of us for that last match. He was actually leading the charge quite a lot for this.
Was Fred Yehi in the top 250?
Oh,
wrestlers?
He must have been. Yes, he was. He was number 20. It's on my very last line. I had to scroll down a little bit. I don't think I saw Mr. Grimm on that list, but he is up and coming. I'm not sure quite how long he's been wrestling. Now, we said we saw Fred Yehi in the last one when he was on MLW for one match. I actually looked it up. He faced Chris Dickinson in Uncharted Territory, because I knew I'd seen him on that, so I looked that one up. And the one that might interest you, Mason, best of the best 18, first round 4-way. John Silver, who was on Uncharted Territory this week, defeats Fred Yehi, Gary J, I know who that is, and Chris Statlander, and that's CZW, best of the best 18. So I know you've been dying to watch some CZW. I watched it last night. I don't see any reason why you can't watch that match. I watched another match and too much language. But that match, I didn't see any problem with it at all. There's a lot of mainstream wrestlers who were on there. I was surprised. Sammy Guevara was on there as well. Jordan Oliver. Myron Reed. That was just in a couple of matches that I watched. So there were some good names on there that's certainly worth watching.
I don't know if I like Gary J or don't like him.
He's a good fighter.
We never would have heard of him if we didn't injure.
If it wasn't for Warhorse, yeah, I probably wouldn't have come across him as quick. I would have come across him because I've seen him on different events now. I'm trying to remember if it's Black Label Pro where I've seen him as well.
Yeah.
So I probably wouldn't have come across him certainly as quick as this. Now, the thing that surprised me most about this match was the length of this match. I was thinking it would be like 10-15 minutes. I didn't time it. I'm guessing this match was 30-40 minutes. At one point, they actually... Oh, I missed that as well. I didn't put that... Because I didn't take notes for this. You did. There was actually a ring bell. And we were like, oh, did the match end because of time? And then somebody came on and was like, please ignore the bell or this match is going to continue or whatever. They had the electronic bell. They didn't actually have a real bell, did they? They had the sound effect for the bell. And I guess he obviously clicked the button by accident. And everyone's like, oh, that's the end of the match. But it wasn't. Yeah, I was really surprised how long this match went. It was a brutal match. Go on, tell us about it.
So Yehi does big chops.
So you're going to say Yehi as well?
I don't know, I was just going to say it once.
Oh, okay.
And then Yehi, he needs I think they need 2 body bags for this match.
For both of them?
Yeah. And then Grim kicks the gum out of
Yehi's man.
Yeah.
I love that effect. That looks really cool.
And then Canadian Destroyer and Grim wins with the
Pin.
No, yeah.
So a 40-minute match, and you've essentially got 2 lines. Wow.
I don't know what that last line said.
Now, is it because this match was so good that it was just too much to take down?
That too, but I can't read the last.
Can't read your notes. I'm going to bail you out of this.
Oh, it says knee.
Oh, with a knee. There was a lot going on in this. Once again, I was really impressed with Fred Yehi. It was nice to see him actually as more of a face figure for this one, because you didn't like the fact that he was a heel at the last time, but you wanted to cheer for him. So this one, you could legitimately cheer for him, because he was clearly a face for this one, whereas Mr. Grimm was clearly the heel.
I did cheer as loud as I could for him in Primetime Pro. It's just nobody.
There was just too many people that weren't cheering. Now, I'm surprised that you didn't mention Money Mark Carlson at all, because he was actually throwing the bills out, and we saw one on the floor. So Jackson, I was like, go get it. So he picked up this one bill, and then Neal turned around. He had a wad of these.
$153.
He gave that to Jackson, which he appreciated, and he was playing with those. I probably kept him entertained in that match, and it definitely kept him entertained in the ride home as well.
Yeah,
we had a 40-minute ride home.
Bank, so he could deposit money and he could take out money.
But
then Dad told us about the rat.
The rat?
The rat that ate $1,800.
That was on... Yeah, I saw that on the news that one day. It was the ATM machine. I think it said it ate through $18,000 worth of bills, and then it died because it obviously got trapped inside there with no food or anything. I'm sure that's federally insured. I'm sure they'll get that back, but I thought that was interesting that came up on that day. Yeah, you made his day, Eel O'Neill. He loved having all those money. He felt so proud of that. And I think I took a picture of him splaying the money out so you could see it. And I said, I think this covers the price of our tickets today. More than covered it. Oh, we didn't even talk about the price of tickets as well. This was a really good value event. We should have mentioned that as well. It was $15 for general admission. He was free because he was under 10, I think it was. Whereas one we're going to in a couple of weeks' time, you've got to be under 4. I'm like, oh, good grief. That's like almost nobody. So, yeah, $30 for 3 tickets. The other thing we haven't talked about at all, which is kind of surprising, we said when we got there was like 20, 25 people. By the time, certainly at intermission, it was packed. It was really packed. There was a lot of people that were stood around watching. There was people on the outside looking through the window as well, rather than trying to get to all the seats. Not all the seats were taken, but there was certainly, I'm going to guess by the end they sold out.
So when they were doing pep talks, but in the back, actually outside when we were walking towards it, and then I heard one of the wrestlers say that they weren't expecting many people.
First one, it's tough, and like I say, we follow a lot of wrestling things. I know a lot of information. I didn't know about it until a week before. I posted on Twitter. I know people saw it on there as well, but yeah, no, in the end, I wonder if casual people saw it, because it was kind of like on a street where you could have walked by and went, oh, I wonder what's going on in there. And yeah, by the end, it was good. I actually liked also, when you talk about this, the person who was sat the row in front of us. It was a dad with his son, or I'm assuming it was, who was probably a little younger than you. I'm guessing he was between yours and Jackson's age, probably about 8 or 9. He was loving it. He was like, this is great. And you could get, the other fans could hear it, and they were kind of responding to it. But yeah, he loved it. He was really enjoying that. Nothing beats being close to wrestling like that. If you've only watched it on TV before, And that if that was his first experience, or even if it was his second or third, being second row when you can see those punches hit and those kicks hit, it definitely makes an effect. I've asked them, is there going to be a next event? They're still working on it right now, so they haven't announced when the next event is. The last thing I have is actually the day after on Facebook. They posted Block B of the Pan-African World Diaspora, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Wrestling Championship Tournament was absolutely incredible. All 8 participants gave everything they had to advance in the tournament. However, Mark Carlson took it upon himself to verbally berate JA and steal the Pan-African World Diaspora World Championship at the end of Fight Club 1. Carlson claims the belt belongs to the rightful champion, Mr. Grimm, but there are 7 other competitors left in the tournament that will stop at nothing to ensure that the tournament finals don't end with this very scene. Thank you for everyone who came out to the first Fight Club Pro Wrestling event. The fight is now on. Join the club. That was one thing, that was probably my only criticism of the whole event. I was very confused as what was the actual tournament and what was the regular matches. And I couldn't really tell. Like, I knew that the match, the main event was like the big thing, but I couldn't tell where the other one's like. And what's the system? Like, did they just have one person that's qualified? Are they going to have 7 more events to get 7 more people qualifying? Do you understand the format for the tournament?
No.
I have no idea. I'm not sure if the people who won their matches, does that put them in the final? Does that put them in the semi-final? Does it just move them to the next round? I didn't personally care. But yeah, I think the first one, it was kind of setting up the characters. I just realised we didn't talk about JA at all. JA came kind of in between segments, didn't he? I think he was the owner, and he sort of sat where the commentary desk was. And I know he was involved in a few things, but yeah, I guess that was something we missed from our kind of review. Of course, I don't take notes. I rely on you to take notes now. I just like to blame you if we miss anything, because I can say, hey,
Well,
you should have read it down.
You can read your notes because it's on a computer.
No, I typed this.
I know.
Yeah, I did this yesterday.
So it's not like you can misread something.
That's true. Yeah, I look for the information on the wrestlers. I don't write down about what happened in the actual event. That's kind of our split roles, unless we're switching roles. You talked about wanting to research the wrestlers. No,
I tried it on Jake something. It was boring.
I like doing it this way. I like researching wrestlers, and I like finding. Like once I found out that match on CZW, I just happened to look what Fred Yehi's matches were, and then I saw CZW, and I know you're interested in that, and I saw John Silver. I'm like, oh, I recognise that name now. That wasn't the name of Smith. So no, I kind of go off on a tangent, and sometimes I'll spend probably more time than I should watching different matches that had nothing to do originally with what I was doing, but it helps improve my knowledge on wrestling. All right, anything to finish up?
No.
All right, that's it. Boom.
It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye to me.
And it's goodbye from them.
Goodbye.
The music was Zigzag by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. http://creativecommons.org/licenses/by/3.0